This is Experience Imagination, a themed entertainment podcast by Falcon's Creative Group.
Story connects people to the experience.
Every aspect of creativity is brought together.
We wanted to do something different and fresh.
There are so many different disciplines that are involved in this industry.
Nothing will get you further than your passion.
This entire process is just making us better designers.
We're really pushing the envelope.
Welcome back to Experience Imagination. I'm Audrey DeLong, and I'm excited for today's topic. We're going to talk about educational opportunities for students who want to study themed entertainment or themed experience design. It wasn't long ago that you couldn't even find one college that offered some type of degree in this field, which is insane. But thanks in part to one of my guests, that's no longer the case. I'm talking about Peter Weishar, professor and director of the University of Central Florida's Themed Experience Programs. This marks Peter's second appearance on the show, so we're very happy to welcome him back. Joining us will be Jamie DeRuyter, who is the department head for Ringling's Entertainment Design Program, and Dr. Chris Rogers, the department director for the Themed Entertainment Design Program at Purdue University. I'll talk to them about what their school's programs offer, what it took to get their programs off the ground, and how they connect students to the professional community, and there's a lot of ways to do that. Falcons has a special connection to UCF, which we'll discuss later. You know, we also get an opportunity from time to time to meet some of the brightest up-and-coming talent by reviewing portfolio work at some of the schools that are in our own area. Sometimes, even, one of our leaders will speak at a graduation ceremony, too, and that's always fun. Anyway, you know what? I'm getting off topic. Back to this episode. I'm also going to speak with current students from different universities and one of Peter's former students that we hired here at Falcons. It'll be interesting to hear all those different perspectives. Both of those conversations should be a lot of fun and very enlightening, so stay with us. We'll be right back. Well, welcome back to the podcast, Peter, first of all.
Thank you.
We talked to you in March of 2020 about UCF's new at the time themed experience master program and the advisory council you had set up for it. I'm sure a lot has happened since then, and we're going to get into all that, but I want to introduce our other guests. For this segment, we have Jamie DeRuyter from Ringling College of Art and Design in Sarasota, Florida. Hi, Jamie.
Hi, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
And calling in from Indiana is Dr. Christian Rogers, an associate professor and director in computer graphics technology at Purdue School of Engineering and Technology.
Hi, Audrey. Thanks for having me.
All right, so let's talk about the programs at the various schools and what they offer. And by that, I mean, what types of courses are students signing up for? Is it a mix of theory and software programs? I want to start with you, Peter.
Well, we're really a program in design and production. We have two different master's programs. We have a Master of Science and an MFA as well. But at the core of both of them are a series of studio classes. Because it's a graduate degree, and because one of them is a terminal degree, there is some theory and there are some academic classes as well. But they enter with a strong portfolio, and hopefully they exit with an even stronger portfolio.
Yeah, so there's a kind of a minimum requirement, right?
Yeah, we'll look at the portfolio first when we're looking at an applicant. And then the GPA, where they went to school, what they studied. Most of the students coming to our program are coming from a visual art background or a writing background, and then we take a couple of students who are producers every year as well.
Oh, that's great. I'm a producer, so I like that. All right, so Jamie, let's talk to you about Ringling.
Sure, yeah. So our curriculum is all undergrad. It's a 4-year Bachelor's of Fine Arts program. And as you might expect, we start them off in the first year with some foundation. So we begin with design thinking. So there's a little bit of theory right out of the gate. We start trying to orient them to how to think like a designer. And then we take them through basic elements and principles of design. We get them into 3D modeling pretty quick. Our program has an emphasis on designing the built environment. So it's an emphasis in themed environments. So for that, it's a lot of modeling, a lot of viz, a lot of spatial design and wayfinding. And then they have kind of an overall arching emphasis on story and guest experience and concept communication. So they come out with a lot of really kind of hands-on skills.
Okay, wonderful. That sounds fantastic. All right, Chris, tell us what Purdue's program offers.
Yeah, so historically, before we had themed entertainment, we had a focus in animation, motion design, and interactive design. And so we still have a lot of those courses that are built into our major. But we've leaned heavily on the reputation that Purdue has around engineering and technology and STEM, right? So there is not a portfolio requirement, but there is a strong math requirement, right? So we get more of those types of students in the door, but they do take foundational courses, somewhat similar to Jamie's, in sketching, modeling, digital painting, image manipulation, and then they get some animation, they get some motion design. But then, as we are moving towards Purdue, we're looking at tighter collaboration with both the JW Marriott School of Hospitality and theater, offering courses in show control, animatronics, guest relations to understand the guest experience.
Okay, that sounds fantastic. So, outside of internships, do students get exposed to various companies that they could, wind up working for? What do the various schools offer? Peter, let's start with you.
We have a lot of collaborations with industry, and one of our largest collaborations is with Universal Creative. We run something called the UCF Universal Creative Lab, which is a class taught half on campus and half behind the scenes at Universal. And we offer that during the regular school year for our students, and then in the summer it's open to students from any university.
Oh, that's cool.
So we get a real nice diversity of students there. But we also work with Meow Wolf as well. I'm actually on my way to Santa Fe on Monday to work with them, some of the students. Some stuff with Disney, obviously with Falcons.
Yeah, all right. Well, let's hear from Jamie at Ringling about it.
So we have several channels to try to get students exposed to industry and try to connect them with opportunities. I mentioned earlier our senior mentorship program. So we try to connect every senior with an individual industry mentor. IAPA is huge. This past year, we actually had a booth on the show floor, which was kind of an experiment for us. There weren't any other schools with a booth, and so we were kind of like the oddball on the show floor. But we got a lot of traffic, a lot of recognition. So I think it was potentially good for us. We have an internship option for seniors. So in their spring semester, which is their last semester of their four-year program, they can opt to do an industry internship instead of working on their thesis projects. The burden is on them to go find that internship opportunity, but we have a credit swap for that experience. So it kind of encourages them to go out and hunt for that. We bring in a lot of guest speakers through our TEA club. We have a Themed Entertainment Association Next Gen chapter on campus. They're very robust, full slate of speakers from all the companies you can imagine. We've got to get Falcons in on that roster next year, and I think that probably covers it.
Yeah, let's go over to Chris, talk about Purdue's program a little bit.
So, we're fortunate that Purdue actually already had a lot of alumni in the industry, so we do lean on that some. We require an internship for our program, so they are required to do one internship. Obviously, IAPA, we always have at least 20 students down at IAPA every year, and a lot of that really comes down to networking. So I do a fall and spring speaker series where we bring in, Keith McBean from Universal Creative and Ron Martin, who is with AOA and Imagineering, and Roberta Perry and Heidi Hirsch, and like all these people that are just willing and gracious enough to give their time. And they always say like, hey, reach out to me afterwards. And my students do, and it gets them networking. I mean, I had one instance where I had a student who connected with one of my speakers, and she set him up with 7 different meetings at IAPA in Orlando. And so we just have a very giving industry that I think we need to recognize that they just are willing to give back to our students, all of our students. Also, similarly to Peter, we do work with some companies. And so my one class is doing a partnership right now with the Indianapolis Children's Museum. It's the largest children's museum in the country. So we do have that. Creative Works is here in Indianapolis. I've had students do capstone work for LF Studios, formerly Life Formations. And so we really try to encourage those types of projects too, and bring those into the classroom so they get that real world experience.
Yeah, it's the networking and real world experience, but it's also just the ability to have somebody in the professional world review your work. And I know this was valuable when we co-taught with UCF a couple of years ago. Is that something that you do at Ringling, Jamie?
Yeah, it definitely is. We bring in industry guests for critiques. Again, that senior mentorship program is all about that. That's like a weekly check-in on those thesis projects. And then I think it's worth mentioning that the 3 of us here are all advisors on an industry student showcase at themedattraction.com. And so we've been encouraging the students to post their work up there. And then there's always been, and Nate Naverson and Jesse Cam do a great job of recruiting a roster of industry professionals to provide feedback to all those projects that get posted in that showcase. So everybody should go check that out as well at themedattraction.com.
All right. Good plug there for sure. Chris, what does it look like at Purdue as far as like reviewing students' work?
We don't do like a mentorship setup where we have students paired with a mentor, but we have different industry people that do come in and teach our classes, so they're providing critique and feedback. And then similarly to what Jamie said, we do have our students submit to the Themed Attraction Showcase. We've also had students participate in the Next Gen Showcase, of which we provided credit for that. And so that's a rigorous process that they need to get into. If they want to apply for that, they have to go through a review process and they may or may not get in. So, and that provides some mentorship as well. And so there's a couple of different avenues that we've taken advantage of where they can get their work before industry professionals.
Well, now I have to ask you, it might be the easiest question of the podcast. Let's try to sell students out there who are thinking about a themed entertainment education. Let's sell them on your school. This is where it might get competitive. Let's start with Chris.
So my pitch would be that if you have an interest in heavily focused in engineering technology, but you want to do it in a way that makes people smile, that puts them in a fun and immersive environment that's built on stories, then that's why you would want to consider coming to Purdue. You know, our focus really is leaning heavily on theater, show control, engineering technology, because that's the bread and butter of our university, and yet we provide a unique opportunity. Honestly, it's the fourth best engineering school in the nation.
So there's hundreds of engineering schools out there. To be number 4 is kudos to you for that.
Not me personally, I didn't do it, but glad to be a part of it.
All right, Jamie.
Well, I guess if I was speaking to high school students and trying to entice them to come to us, I would want to make sure of a couple things. Do they want to design experiences for people? Again, be that theme parks or museums or hospitality, retail, even healthcare. We've had some students interested in healthcare environments. So if that's what they're interested in, creating real live world experiences, then we're the right place. And then more so with a narrow emphasis on designing the built environment. So we're looking at students who have an interest in theatrical production, the set design, the lighting, and things like that. And then we're also looking for students who are interested in interior design or architecture. Maybe they're thinking that they want to do interior design type tasks or projects in a more kind of fun context, right? Like an entertainment company like Disney or Universal and so on. Again, as an undergrad program, you're going to steep in those skills. And you're going to come out really well prepared with really applicable skills to slide you right into that entry-level job. And that seems to be working out very well. We graduated our first class last year, and we're watching several of them enjoy a lot of great success in the industry.
Yeah. All right, Peter, let's hear your pitch for UCF.
So it's not really a competition with these guys here, because the first thing I would tell a student is go to one of these great undergraduate programs. So when they come to us, they already come with a portfolio. And what a master's degree provides you with is the context and the skill set to really shine once you're in the industry. That graduate degree is going to be with you for your entire career, and it's going to help you move up in the organization, understand what you're doing, have a more profound understanding of what it means to create a compelling environment. One of the really great things I hear from my students, especially those who are working, and they say they walked in and felt prepared. And that's a really wonderful feeling.
It is. It's a big compliment. Well, here's my pitch for Falcons. I mean, UCF students know about us, obviously, being right down the road, and maybe some Ringling students know of us. But, just get the word out. We do it all in-house. We have the cross-discipline right in-house, and media team and design team. And so, and I'm part of the recruiting efforts here, too, somewhat. And I'd love to see resumes coming in with those themed entertainment degrees. So keep those students happy and coming.
Absolutely. We're fortunate to have a handful of great Ringling alum at your studio already. Again, going all the way back to that idea that, we didn't have themed entertainment at the school. And so students who wanted to do this, they found their way, right? And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to, as you said, now the new students coming out will be much, much better prepared.
Yeah, it's got to be so much easier, too, when they have that degree, even a bachelor's degree in this field. I feel like it's going to help them find jobs in the industry a lot easier.
Yeah, I think so. We're seeing it on job postings more and more now. Like, companies are now realizing that schools are doing it, so they're asking for it. And so I think that's also going to help these students kind of separate themselves from, others who didn't pursue this as a degree.
And I was just say, I think the industry is responding. Like, there's themedentertainmentjobs.com, which Dave Hall's been put up, which is that's only a few years old, right? And I think there's a real response there because we're seeing these programs pop up.
Yeah, I think between Peter and Dave Hall, they know everybody around town. Anytime I go to an event that Dave Hall is at, who works here at Falcons, by the way, everybody knows him, especially if they're young or looking to get into the industry or a student. All right, well, this was enlightening, and it was a lot of fun, guys. Peter, thank you for being here with me.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Jamie, thanks again.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Chris, great to talk to you as well.
Thank you, Audrey. Appreciate the time.
All right. Thanks, guys. For this next roundtable discussion, I'm going to talk to 3 current students and 1 themed entertainment professional, our very own Carrie Schweiger, who is next to me in our podcast room. Hi, Carrie, and welcome back to the podcast.
Hi, it is always a pleasure to be here, so thank you.
All right, great. And I want to introduce our student guests. They're calling in from various locations. One of them is at a cafe. So we have Audrey Nelson from The Ohio State University. Hi, Audrey.
Hi, Audrey.
I don't get that much. I think this is the first Audrey guest I've had. Okay, we have Shellsea Coe from Ringling College of Art and Design. Hi there.
Hi.
And we have Madison Schnurpel from IUPUI. Hi, Madison.
Hello.
All right, thanks everybody for joining. I want to start with Carrie, who's a designer at Falcons. You were in Peter's themed entertainment MFA program at the University of Central Florida. I want to know, how did you find out about the program and what inspired you to join it?
That's a good question. So I did know that I was interested in this industry, but it is so overwhelming sometimes with so many different facets to it, how to break into it. And the best way that I found and what ultimately led me to finding Peter was just checking all the trades every day. I subscribed to every newsletter that I could, the TEA, IAPA, InPark, and just everything else. And I would just read it and see. And one day I saw, this professor is now moving to UCF in my backyard. And I absolutely just could not email him right away. So.
Yeah.
We met up, he let me sit in a class, and it was such a great experience. It was instantly like, I'm in the right place now.
Were you already a student at UCF at the time?
No, I wasn't. I had actually not gone there for my undergrad either, so it was a little intimidating how big the campus is.
Yeah.
But it was a really great experience.
Well, Falcons has a special connection to your class in particular. I want you to tell the listeners about it.
Right. We actually got the opportunity to come in. Every week, sit down. We had my now boss, Stephen Ricker, was there. Cecil was there. And we got to do a group project with Unreal Engine and getting to see some of the tech that Falcons has. I think we were showing off a little bit. We got to go to the cool X Lab and see all the neat toys and see our actual creations up on the screens. And that was really awesome. And that was kind of what made me think, big things are happening here. And we got the opportunity to get live feedback from Cecil on what were we thinking, why did we make these choices, and he has a gift for asking just the right question to really make you think. And so it was a great, great experience to come and be able to do that.
Yeah, Cecil co-taught that class with Peter, so some of the classes were at UCF and some were here.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, let's hear from the current students. I want to hear all about your courses that you're taking. What sort of classes have you taken so far, and what are you looking forward to learning? We'll start with Madison.
We have kind of a wide variety of classes. I would say the first class that you take is a lot of blue sky and learning about how all of these projects start. All of our classes are very project-based. We work with our group of students because our classes generally have, I would say, 10 to 15 people per class of varying disciplines throughout the industry. And we work together to either create a dining experience or a theme park land idea. So one of the classes that I actually took last summer was all about this project where we created a miniature dark ride using some inspiration that we've had for some Don Carson's videos during COVID. And we created the Boilermaker Express dark ride that told the history and some of the stories of important alumni from Purdue. So it was miniature with the purpose of it becoming possibly bigger. And so that's actually at display currently at our college. And it's a functional dark ride where a train moves along the track. So our engineering team got to work on that part. And then our design team got to help create the story and then create all of the different landscapes for each area. And then we had writers who made plaques and different banners that went along with that as well. So it was a really cool kind of collaboration and to see how important interdisciplinary communication is in this field.
All right, so talking about Ringling now, Shellsea, what are you learning and what are you looking forward to learning?
Yeah, so here at Ringling, we have a pretty unique curriculum. It's kind of half technical knowledge and half artistic knowledge. Basically, we have our core studio classes, and those are our entertainment design classes. But we are pretty much given design challenges, and we're tasked with conceptualizing and rendering said designs. And then in addition to our studio classes, we'll take other classes that have a more technical baseline of knowledge from our architectural professor. And then throughout the courses of those classes, not only are we learning a baseline of industry tools, so a lot of programs, AutoCAD, SketchUp, Revit, Unreal, Maya, ZBrush, and then some. But we're also learning basic architectural materials as well as structural and construction processes. It's more so a baseline of what they would cover in those degrees so that we have awareness of all of the other trades and facets that are involved in the process as a whole.
Ah, yeah, super cool stuff. I want to talk to Audrey because at OSU, there's not a specific program. How were you involved in it?
So it was my first week of my freshman year. I was just talking to people online, and I was talking about how I want to do themed entertainment, and I was talking about Imagineering, like the big companies, Universal Creative, and somebody behind me turned to me and was just like, hey, what's your name? We have Theme Park Engineering Group at Ohio State, and he was wearing his Theme Park Engineering Group shirt. So from that time until now, I'm in the Theme Park Engineering Group at Ohio State. We were actually the first theme park engineering club in the country, but I know that we inspired other schools to start their own themed entertainment clubs. So that's how I got involved. I know Ohio State does have an entertainment design and technology minor that has an engineering for entertainment class and other various theater classes, lighting design, costume design. So yeah, I'm just very involved in my club, and that's how I sort of get my fill and knowledge of themed entertainment.
All right, so I want to kind of get into what you learned about themed entertainment that you didn't know. I'll start with Carrie on this one, since she has the professional experience, but when she started her UCF program, there's probably a lot you didn't know. But what are some of the interesting stories?
Oh, there was definitely a lot that I did not know. I was coming from a graphic design background, so it's very visual, but to start to dive into the technical side and to learn what different departments are going to be looking for and how to speak to that. So you make sure that your vision is actually going to be carried across all of the different hands that need to touch it and still make sense to everybody and can be actually built was so much more fun than I thought it would be. I really loved it. And that was another indication of like, oh, I'm in the right place. This is great.
Yeah. So it's a little different, when you're picturing somebody walking through a queue line, for instance, right?
Oh, definitely. Being aware of space, not just the space in front of you, above you, behind you, all of the things that you can't see, everything that you're hearing and smelling. All of those senses need to be accounted for and thought about. So it was a lot more than where I had been focusing.
So, Madison, I want to ask you the same question. And what have you learned about the business?
The biggest thing I've learned is how much people in this business and industry actually care about each other. And what I mean by that is growing up, I was always very taught that everything I do is going to be a competition. Everyone's trying to get the same position. And from going to IAPA and speaking with people currently in the industry, everyone really just wants everyone to have a chance. Everyone wants to help build people up. If they don't have, let's say, a position for you, something you can do, they're going to refer you to 3 other people who may have an idea of what you can do to help them. And that was really cool because I've never kind of experienced that before. And so to have connections that then you can reach out to months later who want to actually help you and talk to you and encourage you even when you mess up, it's really cool to see.
I think part of it is because there's not a lot of programs at universities. People study something else. Like if this program at UCF, Carrie, hadn't ever started and you were a graphic designer, it'd be very hard to break into the themed entertainment business, I would think. So I think that's why it's more of a welcoming community. What are your thoughts on that, Audrey?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I totally have to agree. I mean, there are so many professionals that are willing to go out of their way, fly to Ohio and speak to students, and continue to keep and create more connections. I think it's really meaningful that a lot of professionals take time out of their day to even give a chance to talk to us and talk about what they do. And when I go to IAPA and attend industry events, I feel like we all have a sort of emotional connection to what happens in themed entertainment. And I think we all realize and understand that it sort of unites everybody. So that might sound a little cheesy, but it is heartwarming to see like how much everybody wants to support each other and support students.
To me, it makes sense because you're creating shared guest experiences, right? We talked about, some of the industries, some of the different career paths you can take, but internships open doors a lot of times. But I'm wondering, at your particular college, we'll start with Shellsea at Ringling. Do they provide opportunities to engage with companies in the community that you could end up working for?
Totally. Our school, there's events every year that's called Career Insight, and it's where there's companies from every facet of the industry coming in to speak with students and introduce themselves, basically. But not only that, we have plenty of other opportunities with our TEA club. We often have guest speakers come in or guest presenters come in, and they'll talk about their individual companies and their background and their experience, and then they're open to networking after the events are over. And then on top of all that, we also have recruiter presentations. So there's often times where smaller companies will come in and they'll give recruiter presentations with the intention of seeking out students to potentially hire. And that's actually how I landed the internship I'm currently working, was through a recruiter presentation. So, yeah.
Awesome. Madison, how about you at Purdue? What do they do?
So throughout our courses, we have a lot of interviews set up with different industry professionals, which often have a lot of student-led conversation, which our professors are actually gearing towards. They want us to interact with them. And some of our minor programs and certificate programs through this degree actually require internships as well. So our professors help us build those connections and then have us go out there and actually take those opportunities. But even if you don't do an internship, one of my professors always encourages us to just take a chance and reach out. And that's actually how I ended up with one of my mentors that I have right now, who I met at IAPA, who I never thought that I would have the courage to talk to. And my professor said, just try, send her an email. What's the worst that's going to happen? And they all really are encouraging about that. And so they have their connections and they use that to help us get our connections and learn the importance of networking through that.
Mm-hmm. So, Audrey, I know listeners might not be able to attend a school that offers an education in themed entertainment. So what advice would you give them?
So for me, of course, just talk to people. Always be social with everyone because you never know what opportunity may pop up. So just also look at your interest groups at your school, see what you can get involved in, and also attend industry events. Try to get involved in as many projects as you can. I know there's projects that industry professionals host that you can get involved in just as an individual or just with a group of people. And of course, internships, never be afraid to take that step and apply. Right now I'm on the Disney College program, which isn't necessarily aligned with my mechanical engineering degree, but it's definitely been a great opportunity to network and just see what it's like to be in a themed, experienced environment. Has just been amazing.
Excellent. Thank you so much, all of you, for joining. I know going through your programs, Audrey, I know OSU doesn't have them, but doing what you're doing on campus and being involved and just networking the way you are is going to help all three of you easily, I would say, land a job in themed entertainment. And obviously, Carrie is a living, breathing example of that. So thank you, Carrie, for being here.
Thank you. And I can definitely say that I expect to see you all soon around the industry because it is very small. So it's just a matter of time. And thank you all. I think you're all pretty amazing.
All right. Audrey, thank you so much.
Thank you guys for having me. It was a nice time.
Thanks, Madison.
Thank you guys very much.
And Shellsea, thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys for taking the time to talk today. This was awesome.
That'll do it for our Education in Themed Entertainment episode. Thanks again to all of our guests, Peter Weishar, Jamie DeRuyter, Dr. Chris Rogers, Carrie Schweiger, Audrey Nelson, Madison Schnurpel, and Shellsea Coe for joining us today. You all did great. And thanks to all of you for listening. See you next month for an all-new episode. Thank you for listening to Experience Imagination, a Falcon's Creative Group production. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the podcast. Be sure to check out falconscreativegroup.com and follow us on Instagram, X, Facebook, and LinkedIn. If you have ideas for future episodes or just want to drop us a message, send an email to podcast@falconscreativegroup.com.